All right, for today's video, you're going to be taking a look at Transformers Unite Warriors Scavenger. Like I said in my previous video, these guys were not individually released, but were rather released as one big box set at the Titan class price point. And yeah, the Unite Warriors version is basically the same as the Combiner Wars version, just with like a few things changed. Obviously, a lot of paint deco stuff, and then some of the joints were reworked. Although Scavenger doesn't really have that much in the way of retooling. But yeah, it turns into a little, excavator here, and it's a pretty good little alt mode here. It rolls decently well. It works exactly the same as Bone Crusher, where he just has two little wheels here and then one like wide mono wheel in the middle, because they pretty much are the same. Like in the legs down, they're the same mold, whereas the rest of the body is completely new. But yeah, no, in terms of articulation, you can kind of hinge the scoop arm up and down. I find that it's a little bit loose. Like it holds its pose in some positions, but not all. And then you can also rotate this section and then hinge that section as well. So kind of decent excavator action there. The only really extra joint you'd want is like a hinge down here, but I can live without that. But otherwise, it's a pretty decent little alt mode here. Now, another big difference between the Combiner Wars version and the Unite Warriors version is that the Unite Warriors guys all came with like little individual handguns that the Combiner Wars ones didn't. The Combiner Wars ones just came with like the extra combiner bits. But yeah, this is Scrapper's gun. It's fairly faithful to his G1 gun in terms of storage. You can just peg it on to one of these two pegs right there. And, it's a small enough gun that it's not like the most ridiculous thing, but still I'm not a huge fan of that, but I get it. And then obviously it also does have the missile rack handgun thing here, which really can't go anywhere on the alt mode because there's no 5mm ports for it to peg into, so you can't really do anything. Again, these are more designed to all store on long haul, whereas the individual guns are designed to store on the individual guys. But in terms of comparisons in this mode, just for a standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe, so you can see what he looks like with an average size deluxe there. And yeah, it works relatively well. Again, I think that like size-wise it works, but the size of the cockpit is a bit too small to scale with a deluxe car, but that's kind of the case with all these guys. Here he is with Studio Series Scrapper. Obviously, we haven't really gotten an announcement of a Studio Series Scavenger yet, but given how they've done, Scrapper and Bone Crusher, I'm guessing that it's going to be just kind of like a slightly updated, kind of downscaled version of this guy when that guy comes out. Probably going to be a partial of the Bone Crusher mold. But yeah, that's what the two of them looks like together. I just kind of prefer the bigger scale personally, but I'm probably going to be saying that a lot in these videos. And then last but not least, we'll show him off with Bone Crusher from Unite Warriors, the one that I looked at on Tuesday there. And we'll show them off together as we go along. But yeah, no, I think it works pretty well. You can see that the treads are pretty much the same there, even if the coloring is different, because those are the parts that these guys share. But yeah, to get onto transformation, again, like I said in the previous video, I'm going to skip all of the combine mode things and just do that in the designated Devastator video. But to transform this guy to robot mode, first thing you want to do is just collapse the bucket up like that, and it'll kind of lock into place. Like the piston actually clips into this section here, just like that. Then we can take the legs here. They will untab from the central body there, and also untab up here. And you kind of want to just bring those out, and then take this whole section and ratchet it down like this. Then we can take basically these entire side sections here, and they will just fold out to the side like that. And then on the side with the little canopy here, you're just going to fold that to the back, and that frees up the joints for the arms, so you can rotate them up like that. And then flip out the hands from underneath there. And then for the legs, basically what you want to do is you want to, while this is still folded down, you actually want to unlock this joint here. It's hinged in, kind of tabbed in like that. And then bring it around like this so that this bit locks up into place like that. So that's how you want all of that to sit. And then for the legs themselves, they are on these like loose hinges here that you just want to clip into place to keep them solid. And then other than that, they work exactly like Bone Crusher's legs, where you extend out the treads there and then fold open the feet and the heels. And then last but not least, you want to take this like chest panel, open it up, flip out his robot mode head, and then close that back up. And there we have Scavenger in his robot mode. And yeah, I quite like the way this guy looks. Again, just like Bone Crusher, I feel like he's probably one of the most solid figures in the whole set, because they do share a bit of tooling, mostly just in the legs. But yeah, no, Scavenger has always been one of my favorite Constructicons, just because, I don't know, I like excavators, and I feel like he's got a fun robot mode head design. But yeah, no, I think he turned out pretty good. In terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so you can rotate it around and kind of wiggle it back and forth. You can kind of use the transformation joint to like bob it up and down a little bit, but you don't really get a whole lot there. The shoulders are on really big ball joints here that you can just rotate around like that and hinge out to the side. Elbows are on ball joints, which gives him a bicep swivel and a hinge there that goes about 90 degrees. Again, nothing at the waist just because of how this guy flips around. Hips are on ball joints, which go forward and back and out to the side. You can, I guess, unlock that joint, but you kind of want to keep that clipped in place. And then the knees are the bit that are retooled for the Unite Warriors version, where instead of ball joints, he actually has like a mushroom peg and a proper hinge there. And then the feet themselves, just like Bone Crushers, have a hinge out to the side, and then you can kind of create forward and backward tilt by messing with the toes and the heels. And I didn't really mention this in Bone Crusher's video, but I'm not a huge fan of where they decided to place the knee on this guy. I mean, I think it had to do with like where the slider ended up, but he does kind of like have kind of a high knee. It bothers me less than I'd expected to, but it is a little bit weird. But yeah, so no, I think he's pretty solid. Again, I think in terms of like the overall solidity of these guys, he's probably the best one, either him or Bone Crusher. That being said, the shoulder ball joints on mine are a little bit loose, and then the bucket being a little bit loose is also kind of annoying, but he doesn't have the whole issue that Bone Crusher had of having the thing that doesn't really stay in place here, because these you just clip into place and you don't really have to fiddle with it. Obviously, we can give him his individual gun here, which he can hold, and then the missile launcher here, which he can hold, but again, his shoulder ball joints are so weak that, you know, it kind of, yeah, and the elbow ball joints too. It's like, yeah, you can get it in specific poses, but it doesn't take a whole lot for that to fall down. And then in terms of storage, obviously this is supposed to just go on long haul with the rest of the combiner stuff. And then I guess you just, where those pegs end up are just on his arms. So I think that's where you'd have to put them, which is not quite as clean as just having it, you know, stay in the same place like it did for Bone Crusher. But yeah, whatever, I'm not overly fond of the individual weapons anyway, but that's what he looks like with that stuff. In terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe, just so you can see what he looks like with an average size deluxe there. Here he is again with Studio Series Scrapper, just so you can see just how bigger these guys are than the new Studio Series versions, which are all roughly going to be about the same height. As my understanding, at least probably. I mean, he's about the same height as Bone Crusher, and Bone Crusher is surely going to be about the same height as Scavenger. I don't know about Hook and Long Haul, but that's what he looks like with the two of them. One of them, and then here he is with Starscream and Megatron, just so you can see what he looks like with a couple average Voyager classes here. Again, a little taller than Megatron. If we get a new Studio Series 86 Megatron, it's supposed to be a leader class, so I think it'll probably be a bit bigger, which I think will work a little bit better. But I do generally prefer this scaling with the Constructicons rather than them all being like deluxes. You know, I get why they're doing that, to have it, you know, be with the same scale as all the other combiners, but you know. But yeah, no, he's a really fun toy, and I like him quite a bit. Definitely, I think, you know, there's limitations to these sets, but these sets, oh my gosh, my mouth's not working today, to this set, but these guys are generally a lot of fun. And again, if you have the Unite Warriors version over the Combiner Wars one, there's definitely some big improvements there. Not as much on Bone Crusher and Scavenger, because the only thing they got fixed is like the knees, and I don't really know what was wrong with the ball jointed knees before. But you know, some of the other guys literally don't even have elbows in the Combiner Wars version, and all of them do in the Unite Warriors version. So you know, obviously, if you're comparing the new Studio Series guys, they probably are an upgrade over the Combiner Wars version. But personally, I think I'm kind of satisfied with the Unite Warriors guys going forward, and how they turn out to make a nice big Devastator. But that's pretty much all there is to it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday and Thursday, and without further ado, here we have Transformers Unite Warriors Scavenger.